All right.
All right. Episode 7.
Moving on, sports episode 7. Welcome in your hosts, Sam and Ryan. Tough loss.
Yeah. And
So the
looking at
Packers,
the box score, man, that's gross.
so the Packers season ends in the wild card round. Is it still a wild card? Yeah, wild card round.
Yep.
We lose at Philly, 22-10. Horrible start. Never really got back into it. But thought we battled. But all right, Sam, let's get into it. What do you think?
So I think for us and for a lot of this country, right, the wildfires have just been kind of like emotional, saying like how just mismanaged California is, and I think the Packers were as emotionally impaired as the great people of California are. So I think that's why they came out poorly. I think they're just a really empathetic team that cares about people, and I think that really led to the performance that we saw yesterday. That's kind of the take I'm going with to start with.
I think you raised a great point. Like, when you look at these two teams, the Eagles, it's not like they overtly said it, but they pretty much said we don't care about California. That's kind of the message I got from watching the game last night. I mean, Oren Burks used to live in California, and first play of the game, he forces a fumble. He used to play for San Fran. You think he'd be a little more helpful out there, but
not to mention the helmet to helmet and like all the injuries, concussions. Yeah, you would think like Hurts, especially because he had his first concussion, they'd be a little bit more sensitive about that. But instead, they're kind of mercenaries. I think the NFL shouldn't have let them win, and I think the results are null and void. I mean, but honestly, like Jordan Love looked kind of like dog shit. That was probably the worst Jordan Love. That was probably the worst Green Bay QB performance I've seen like ever, right?
Yeah, maybe in our whole lives, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Do you okay? I understand, and the Jordan Love, but don't you think like with the wideouts going, Elton Jenkins getting hurt, and the wideouts going down, and like Watson already out, it's hard to just like blame it all on him. I know he wasn't like great. The touchdown, almost touchdown to Wicks or Heath.
Yep.
The guy slips. I mean, I feel like that should be a touchdown. I don't know. Like when I watched Jordan, I didn't think like he would like he did make some. There were some bad throws, but I didn't think like I still thought we could have won this game. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot, and some of it was the injuries compounding, especially on the offensive line, and then leading to like a lot of holds. And in my opinion, like holds are kind of like drive killers. Like you get a holding, it's 20, sucks. I thought the defense positives. Defense played awesome. I mean,
that was probably one of the best defense performance for Green Bay Packers playoff ever.
Yeah, against the great. I mean, Saquon had 119 yards, but
that's whatever.
Big one at the end. No touchdowns. We handed them 7 points pretty much to start the game.
And I think that's what lost us. I think that set the tone. Like it seems like the vibes were complete 180 from the Cowboys, where Cowboys were just going in with swagger, like Jordan Love kind of just playing fast and loose. And then like that happened, and it's just like it was just tentative. And then Josh Jacobs was the only one. Like it was Josh Jacobs and actually Jaden Reed, like that would seem like the only ones that were kind of like, I don't know, just moving, and like getting amped up. Like saw on the sideline where it's just everyone was just like dead, and there was like a play where Jaden Reed, like Jordan Love threw like it was like an incompletion that got tipped, and Jaden Reed was like next to it, and he just stood there. He didn't even like make an attempt to like grab it or do anything. And I think there's like some Jaden Reed like attitude issues because he had that good catch where he like broke a bunch of tackles, and then immediately after that play he was taken to the sideline. And it was like just really weird that. Okay, you finally get a spark on offense for a play, and then immediately taking a sideline. He just wasn't in like the game at all. Musgrave, I don't know what was up with him, but I don't even know if he played, to be honest, because I didn't even see him. Like it's like Kraft, like gave it his all, played good, but I don't know, and Wicks had a nice catch, actually, a couple of nice catches. But I think it goes in where it's like I'm almost fully out on like the wide receivers by committee. Like this just felt like the Patriots wide receivers where you have like some promising like names, and it feels like almost more like fantasy type thing where it's like, oh, you can dream up on potential of all these guys, but until someone separates, like if you don't have a guy, until you have a guy, you don't have anything, and that's kind of what it felt like. And like losing Alan Jenkins felt like when we lost, I don't know, like Bakhtiari, right? Like that just torpedoed us, and I think that our offensive line has been so healthy all year that you lose one guy and it just like crumbles down. I don't know, like it felt like we were outclassed and like we're just inexperienced in every single facet. And like the Matt LaFleur thing, I think we talked about when you bring in all these guys, like he was just indecisive and didn't know what he was doing, and I don't know. So like this whole season has like a theme of just like this season felt like if you took this season and last season, felt like this season was more like last season where it's like, okay, Jordan Love's first year, like rookie QBs, like youngest team in the NFL, like those type of vibes. But then like I guess like last season started off like we had so many false starts, holding plays to start the year and stuff, and then it like came on hot. And like this year, like Jordan, like you look at it by like the numbers, like we're like top 10 in offensive defense. Even special teams was really good coming on. So I don't know, but like the stats are better this year, but like the vibes kind of felt worse because I think you're just thinking of like the last, like kind of winning that little run and then the 2 playoff games, mostly just Dallas. I think just like the Dallas game, I think clouds people's perceptions of last year, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's kind of a lot to say. Nothing really.
No, I think it's kind of a good way of how we all feel. My one kind of annoying thing is I listened to Matt LaFleur's press conference, and his opening statement, he kind of said what you said. He said that we gave him 7 points, we fumbled the open kickoff, and we never recovered. And I get it as a fan, but like as a head coach, that kind of pisses me off that he says that because, like, first of all, they scored 22 points. We, take away like how like is it like the very big like momentum swinging play, but at the same time, say we go 3 and out, we punt, they go down, score a touchdown, we're down 7. Like who cares?
It's the same thing.
Just move on. 22 points. We could score 22 points. Like if you look at it, we turned the ball over way too much. The missed field goal was painful. It just like when he said that, he's like, and we never really recovered. I feel like it's just such a reflection of his attitude. And I feel like that's my biggest problem with his team is kind of like he sets the tone, and the tone that he's setting it's not like fired up. It's not like no one was playing with fire besides, like you said, Jacobs was awesome. Reed looked like he wanted to be there, and I thought Kraft wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And defensively, Cooper made some nice plays, but I thought our defense was okay. A little better.
It was good, but like there was like no one stood out, on it.
Yeah. Right.
Like the pass rush. I mean, that fucking touchdown, like where he was in the pocket for like 6 seconds, it was just like, oh my God, like it's just like seeing that. It's just like it just felt sick. It's like this is not a winning football team.
Yeah. It was frustrating to watch, just like, but I don't know, end of the day, I just feel like we still could have won. We played
we could have, yeah.
We held Hurts, like our corners were playing pretty well. The stiff arm touchdown Goddard had on us was so painful. Like that, just so painful to watch that play. I thought we actually tackled and bottled up Saquon really well. They did.
Our pass defense was phenomenal.
Yeah, 2 for 11
for the most part.
Third down conversions, and then they had 1 fourth down conversion. So like I feel like we gave our team a lot of chances. We just didn't get it done offensively. It just came
4 turnovers.
Yeah, the 4 turnovers was painful. And I think a little bit of that was like you had the deep one, the Slay pick. was probably
which was kind of an incredible pick, to be honest.
Yeah, great player. And I think like that's a play Watson maybe has a little more step, and then you kind of like throw it a little more out there. Slade made a great play. He's a great player. The pick over the middle Bond had.
Yeah.
Horrible.
That was like that Raiders pick last year where it's like he just doesn't see him. Or I don't know, like, but it felt like Kraft kind of pulled up there looking at it, on TV where it's like, I think it was just miscommunication. And like, it seems like what are like the substances. It's just like, if this team gets punched in the mouth, it all crumbles down. Like it was built at House of Cards. Like I don't see any difference between Matt LaFleur and Mike McDaniels right now. Like they're both kind of like pretty boy coaches who like have this like, oh, I'm an offensive darling type thing. But like, I don't know. There's just no grit, There's 100%. No grit, and it's like you're sniffing your own farts and you're making excuses. And it's almost like Matt LaFleur, I think what he needs to do is be like, you know what? These, like, instead of being like, oh, it's all on me, be like, no, like, call fucking people out. I think it's to the point. Like, he's too nice to ever be super successful, And I think like the Aaron Rodgers thing kind of worked well because Aaron Rodgers was willing to be the bad cop and like the dick and like, call out wide receivers, do all that shit and call people accountable. And maybe Jordan Love's like doesn't have that, like maybe it's just like the younger generation thing or just doesn't have that kind of bite in him. And, like Tom Brady's right. Like it's where he said like, we're just not detail orientated. And like you could see that, it's like we're just okay. We're like, okay, just being good, but not great. And I don't know. It'd be a huge wake up call. Like, I'm at the point where I'm willing to move on from LaFleur, to be honest with you.
Woo! Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, that might be like a hot take, or reactionary, but I don't know.
Okay, here's my hot take. Matt LaFleur is an offensive coordinator. He's just he's an offensive coordinator. He's he's too distracted running the offense to like game plan, call timeouts. Like he doesn't do that well, and it affects us. And we just seem all jumbled. Even the play, like the drive where Love throws the pick, I don't know. It just seems like chaotic and are we going to call? Like we just don't know when we're going to call timeouts. We just don't know like what the hell we're doing. It just seems like half the time. And I feel like the NFL as a whole, around when LaFleur was getting hired, there was like this huge thing with like McVay and Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniels and Matt LaFleur. And everyone was like excited, like, oh, we'll just hand over the keys to these guys. They're offensive geniuses and they can be the head coach. I don't know if they can be the head coach because you got to like, I think the head coach is kind of a vibes guy. I think the head
100%.
Vibes,
and that's what we're seeing with like Sirianni and Dan Campbell.
Yep. And I think honestly, like Marcus Freeman is in Notre Dame. Like he's not like an X's and O's offensive guy, but he gets the boys like fucking jacked up.
Yeah.
They go out there and hit some people. And I wanted like more fire, more celebration after making tackles. Like there's fucking Saquon Barkley. That's fucking great. Dude was awesome this year.
Like every like 3 and out, like fucking, like exactly. Yeah. Celebrate. Feel good.
We're like still crying because we fumbled the opening kickoff. It's like, God, move on. So I don't know. I almost kind of like this is my hot take. I want to flip Stenavich and LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Stenavich can just like bring a little more grit, like the O-line, the fired up. He's kind. I don't know if he's been kind of quiet so far, but LaFleur he just screams OC to me, and I think he'd be a great OC. But I just don't know if he has like the balls and like the kind of like what you're saying. If you don't call people out, you're not going to make them better.
Yeah.
So we don't improve, and I don't think. Like this year, did you see improvement from last year? I felt like we saw a lot of improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the exciting part. This year, I don't feel like we improved a lot.
No. Well, I mean, yes and no.
Defense.
Yeah, defense we did. Like special teams kind of like McManus was like pretty good, right? So I think that did like returns not really. I think like we're gonna see this fumble and it's gonna be like terrible, but like offense, I mean, I guess like Kraft did, but like and like Watson kind of did, right? But like his career is just really hard to like pin down because it's like he's just injured and then like doesn't get a lot of stuff. Like and like by the numbers, Love, like improved, right? Like the overall season kind of, but like there's definitely better peaks last year than this year. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I guess like with the young, like growth isn't linear, and I think that's something is just really hard to truly take to your core. That you just think, oh, like I think we're just all, I don't know, like video game brained, where it's like, oh, you're just gonna add skill points in this category, and like you're just gonna be better, right? And like just that's just not how it works. Like I think stacks, Jordan Love's really good at that. Like our offensive line, I think was like pretty good, but we were also like super healthy. The run game was a lot better this year, but it's kind of due to Josh Jacobs. Just kind of weird that like the two, like we're a draft and develop team, but then like the two free agents that you get like overshadow the whole team, right? And it's like how quickly you can go from an area of strength to an area of weakness, most notably wide receiver. I mean, it's like Christian Watson is the only one, and like we're probably not gonna have him like next year, but it's like I would only just take Christian Watson, the rest of them be like whatever, like move on.
It's kind of surprising to me that Jaden Reed ends up being our number one wideout yards at the end of the year, because he just kind of disappears for some games, and he had some really big games early and then kind of like midway through the season. He had a great big play that kind of fired up the team last night. Yesterday, but it just
it's interesting. Look at the targets.
Yeah.
Wick's leading the team. Like that's pretty fucking crazy with 415 yards.
Yeah, it's not a good sign, is it?
No.
Your leading target gets 400 yards. Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about like just pecking order, like it's like if you have all these guys and all kind of think they're one, it's like sure you're younger and it's like all the team ethos or whatever, but like there's something about like getting into a groove, right? It's like, oh, you got the number one and then you have the number two guy. And I think it's like, then you have like more of a chip on your shoulder or something. I don't know, but it's like same reason, like why like super flat line, like communist organizations don't work. Like if you don't have anyone in charge, like it just doesn't work. Like unfortunately we need hierarchy, like as people, we just need it. And, it's like, I don't know. It just
don't they even find hierarchy in like all species, right? Crabs, wolves, they're all fucking everything. Everything has hierarchy. And I agree with you though. I do think your point about the linear improvement is really good, because maybe it is the video game brain, because you do just assume like we're gonna get better.
Yeah.
And then you just think, oh, we're adding Jacobs, so now our run game's fixed, and we're adding McKinney, and we got a 4-3 defense, the rush defense, which did, whatever, that they get fixed. But the passing game, yeah. I think I like your point too. Having a hierarchy is good, because then you want to like beat a guy. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like working towards, I don't know. Like I still couldn't even tell you who. I mean, take away the stats. If I told you like who's our number one wideout, I don't even know.
Is it Reed? It's definitely not. I don't think it's Dobbs. I just like the whole concussion thing. Like, and I get like players. I mean, I get players say like if you're that person, but I think just wearing the Guardian cap, it just shows that you're like it's fear, right? And it's like his attitude, right, where he's just all quiet, and like he had the issue where he was away from the team for a little bit. And like, I don't know, in the locker room, it's like kind of like, oh, you're not going to be fully committed to this if you're worried about all that stuff, right? And like, he hit his head, but he didn't look like he hit it that hard, and you're wearing the Guardian cap too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like, it's just all these,
Bad day for the Guardian caps, I thought.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a great learning experience. I like the young team, but like, what if we did sign a veteran wideout that maybe he's not like the best player, but someone who just like teaches the young guys.
Devontae Adams? I mean, because that seems like who it would be, right?
Well, I was thinking someone like that's not going to cost $35 million, but like just someone who's like a pro, just someone who's like a solid pro who doesn't have to be like more of a third wideout, who like is
Christian
a
Kirk, maybe
shows you how to show up in the word.
Debo, maybe Debo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it just seems like we need to, yeah. We were hoping like someone was going to kind of step up, and I guess kind of like no one really stepped up at the end of the day.
I think Christian Watson did towards the end of the season. And like
Yeah.
you could just see how like our offense without him is just so much worse.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's just a special like talent, like physically,
Yeah.
and you just
He's
can't
a
replace
freak.
that.
You can't replace
And
a freak.
and I think we talked about this before, but like we just don't have the freaks on this team.
No.
I think Jacobs is a freak. I think X
Yep.
is a freak. I think Love is good enough to win with. I have no problem with Love.
Yeah.
I just think
Kraft is kind of a freak.
yeah, and Kraft's been playing great. I think it actually like we have a great base,
But we need the difference makers.
Yeah. And
like elite guys.
Hopefully, like we can get one or two. You know, we're going to be drafting like around 20, 24.
Yeah.
And we have $25 million to spend here. So I guess, do you want to do like season grades? You want to go through it?
Sure.
All right. Team MVP. Who you got?
I do Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I think you got to give it to Josh Jacobs. Like between like the leadership, just getting the ball all the time. He played every single game. What do you had? He was like 6th in the league in rushing. He had 15 touchdowns. I mean, I think he was kind of the heart and soul of this team. It did suck. He got banged up on like one of the bigger third downs last night.
Yeah.
And then we checked into a run. It was kind of a weird play. And goddamn, it sucked on the next play, the 4th down where his foot's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like,
Malik Heath, but like, the third down run call, it's like, and I think Jordan Love checked into that, but and it's like, I think that, like, that's also part of the issue where it's just like, our whole shit was just so predictable this year. Like, our strength, like, really on paper, like, it just seems really obvious in hindsight. I mean, it's because, like, I don't want to admit this to myself, but like, we like Josh Jacobs is good, but he's not elusive, right? Like, he doesn't have the breakaway speed to outrun someone. It's like he just has to bowl you over. And like he did that, right? Like that one play, we broke all those tackles and just went beast mode. But you can't realistically do that all the time, right? It's more realistic of you to like outrun someone than it is for you to like do that shit. And it's like we never did any like stuff on the outside. And it's like I think, Matt LaFleur probably took it to heart, like the end arounds with Reed, like everyone just hated that and he's just like a pussy. But it's like that shit probably would have worked pretty decently well, right? Because we're just running up the middle and like the Eagles defensive line is just like probably the best in the league, right? And so it's like we can't. It's like you're doing the same shit over and over, especially like on a third down call. Like that just felt like, oh, I'm not like you're really not risking anything, and I think that is just so frustrating for a do or die playoff game where it's like I don't know, like. Fucking do some unscouted looks. Like it just felt like a very predictable Packers offense and predictable shit. And, like even like on defense, like, we did that big blitz and that's the one where the guy scored the touchdown and like they just, lucked into it. But at least we're willing to like fucking throw it out there, like LaFleur, Love, I don't know who it is, but they played almost like not to lose or not to get embarrassed or not to like go outside their comfort zone rather than win. And I guess that's like the most frustrating part because you have like last year where he did all those T leaks and amazing play calls. And it's like, oh, like we have this super creative offense. But like this year, it's like the offense was not really creative at all. Like it just felt like, I don't know, like it was just like, we're going to try to beat you by having our guys better than your guys or our guys making plays. And when you have like the youngest team in the NFL, who is not super detailed and executed, that shit's not going to fly. And it feels like that's the only thing LaFleur knows. And it's like a noble thing, right? Like, oh, we're just going to be the best at like what the traditional way to be best is, but like that shit just doesn't work. Like you almost have to adapt more to your team. And it felt like he did that with like Aaron Rodgers like adapting to him, Jordan Love adapting to him, but like I guess maybe he just doesn't want to adapt to like the reality or admit to himself the reality. It's just like this inexperience, you got to play the hand you're dealt, and it didn't seem like LaFleur ever really wanted to play that hand or like admit to himself that's what the hand he has is.
Yeah. I thought maybe too Love was like overthinking things a little bit too much, being within LaFleur's system like too much, where when you get to a position in the game where you have to score a touchdown and it's third down, and like maybe you look at the read and it says check into a run, like, but you just don't do it because you can extend a play, like you can run yourself. You just like when you are passing, you can just try, like chaos can happen. I don't know. You just like you can almost like hold on to the ball as long as possible and just like try to make something out of it. And both of those plays, he checks into the run, and then he throws it wasn't a bad pass. It wasn't the greatest pass, but it would have worked. But it's still like a timing pass. You're still like relying on everything to like be clean. And when we're not running a clean offense, it's just like there's no like gunslinging, like fuck it, like I'm just gonna do this. Like I'm just gonna take on this play, and I'm just gonna like get these 3 yards. I don't care if I have to run it. I don't care if I have to like make a play or whatever it is. And it's a little scared to me. It's like you want the ball in your hands. You want to go get this. You want to like make these plays. You want these opportunities. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think Love just didn't like trust himself, like I think just doubt got in his head. I think like maybe that Bears game and like losing, like I don't know, just like all these like close losses, right? Where it's like Vikings, Eagles, like Lions. I think it's like this team just felt intimidated, and you can't win in the NFL if you have that mindset. And that's what it kind of felt like. Maybe something to be said about like Love getting this big deal, getting married, like, I don't know, maybe he just grew up too quick and now he's like a pussy, like too scared to like be a baller. I don't know. There might be something there too. Or like now he doesn't have to prove himself because he has this contract and he doesn't have like Aaron Rodgers, like to chase or whatever. And like he has like LaFleur. I mean, it's kind of interesting that it's similar with like Harbaugh, right? Harbaugh with Herbert, where he like of all QB relationships, it seems like Herbert gets the most like internal praise and shit like that, and kind of like the new age of like coaching where it's like, oh, we're gonna be nice to our QBs, we're gonna have an amicable relationship where we're like supporting one another, just giving constant positive talk, and like that shit, hasn't worked, right? The results just haven't worked. And maybe it's like you almost need more of being a Bill Belichick type thing where you're just a complete asshole to your QB and you almost like get your QB to fucking hate you. So you have like this mindset. And like maybe that's just it. Like you can't be nice in the NFL. I don't know, I think it's almost hard. Like, what do you think is harder? Like finding more talent or like changing a culture that's set in? I almost say like a culture that's set in, like that's what kind of really worries me is that this culture, like to really change it seems almost kind of impossible.
Yeah. And another thing with like the game last night and just like the culture and the fire and like just being scared. We're a 7 seed going at a 2 seed. Like you got to play with nothing to lose a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any like risky plays or like a trick play here or there or just like something just to like, I don't know, just to fire up the team or a little cheap play just to get a couple like 20-yard. I don't know. It just there's nothing.
Unironically, I would have loved to see Malik Willis in there for, a series, a drive, some shit. Like one say kind of fuck you to Jordan, you're not doing well enough, and like I don't know, I think there's just so much benefit. We see this time and time again throughout the regular season of like when you have like an unscouted player, like teams just don't know what to do against it, and you have like some success. Like eventually they catch on to it, but like I think like just introduce variability and shit. Like I mean, fuck it. I would have liked to see Kraft do like he said they mentioned that he was a QB previously. Like fucking have him do like kind of like Taysom Hill type stuff, but it's like, I think like LaFleur just doesn't want to be like that gimmicky coach. Like he just wants to be like, oh, I do everything the right way. I'm going to be this good. And like I'll quote unquote take the blame, but it's like, really it's on the players and stuff. I don't know.
And it's kind of a Green Bay mentality a little bit. Too. Like
it is a Green Bay.
We historically are like, oh, we're not gimmicky, we're not like fun, like we're just hard-nosed football. But Mike McCarthy was the same shit, and it's just you gotta like give the guys a little something. To your tech comment though, like going back to episode 1, we talked about Kraft. He wears the what was it called on his dick? He wears the
cock cage.
I think more guys on our team need to implement the cock cage strategy because it seems to be working for him. And I think if Jordan Love maybe strapped one of those on, who knows what could happen there,
I think Jordan Love needs to do like the Dan Brown, like whipping himself type thing. I don't know. Or maybe he's like too hard on himself. Like maybe he just needs to be like more fuck you. Like maybe he's just too introspective. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. But I think one thing is kind of interesting that like our running backs, like Chris Brooks, like looks really good. Like he did pretty well. And like now you get Marshawn Lloyd, and I guess too, like these draft picks, like losing Jordan Morgan really hurt there because like you plug him into left guard, probably don't have the holding calls, could do something else, like Marshawn Lloyd, do something. I think the pressure's on Gucci here. Like we have a lot of cap opening up. Still have some picks, but it'd be interesting to see. Like, I mean, some big kind of change has to happen. Like, and I think it's probably finding Rich Bisaccia. I think that's probably enough to like do culture and still whatever. And figure out what to do with Jair, and I think that's something too. But like we have a pretty great foundation, and like we're not really. I mean, TJ Slayton's the only one that it seems like I would, because he was really good against like the run, and like pretty unheralded, whatever. And like not having Devontae Wyatt in there, I think probably made a bigger factor than anyone really realizes. Sure. But like I think what it comes down to is like we just need like either like. Ideally, like Max Crosby and Garrett Wilson, like we need elite players, and I think we have to be kind of willing to like sell out to get elite players, because in the draft it feels like we don't do a good job of getting elite players at like blue chip positions other than O-line, Well, I mean, but we kind of do. I don't know, but that's what it feels like. We need two elite players, like one on offense and one on defense. Specifically a pass rusher and wide receiver. And I think that then this team could be the best in the NFL.
Yeah. And I don't want to be too negative. I do think we have a great base. Youngest team in the NFL, great experience.
Into the playoffs. Like, I mean, like Jordan Love did better than Aaron Rodgers did, or Brett Favre, starting out.
Yeah. So
and third year was when Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl.
So I think, after losing similar.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. How about your biggest surprise this year? A good surprise.
Good surprise? I would say Evan Williams and Cooper.
Oh, nice.
Like those two. Yeah, like Evan Williams, like he had that one play where he was like really shadowing that route, and like broke up a pass. And, like just all season, I think just Evan Williams is like safety and Bullard in the slot. And like Bullard, I think like it like just mentally is not there. And I think the same thing with Cooper. Like I saw one where like a big run broke out, and like Xavier McKinney and Cooper, and I think like it looked like Xavier McKinney got beat, but I think McKinney was in the right place where he's supposed to be, but Cooper went in the zap place that where McKinney was supposed to, and led to it. And I think that's why he doesn't see field, because like we only see like the highlight plays, but I think in terms of like knowing his routes and stuff, I think he's just not quite there yet. But to finally hit on like an explosive linebacker, and I think like Quay, like both Quay and him, like, if we get Quay back, or I don't know, but it, even more like maybe just like get a vet linebacker, like I'd be okay moving on with Quay and just pairing like, like a vet, smart, super smart linebacker with Cooper. I think would be like the perfect pairing. But it definitely seems.
What about Zach Bond on the Eagles? I mean, he's
probably Zach Bond. I mean, he was incredible. Yeah.
He'd be a fun guy to have on our team. Just like all aspects of the game, special teams. Yeah. I mean, he does it all. He's a top linebacker, so he's going to get paid. But he was one of the guys I was looking at. Like maybe he'd be a fun guy to add to our team. Honestly,
I think he'd be perfect. I mean, a Wisconsin guy too. He went to University of Wisconsin.
Yeah. So, so here I threw up the list of guys that we got to figure out. I will say, like, it's pretty good. I mean, obviously losing AJ Dillon is a huge blow, but besides that, I mean, who's going to do the farming simulations, right?
Yeah, so, right.
Besides that, though, I mean, I think you got to bring back Josh Myers, probably.
I don't know. I don't think we do. I don't think we do.
Okay.
Because I think it's like Morgan, Ryan.
It was so.
Elton Jenkins probably moves to center. To be honest,
Sean Ryan is like, okay, you're gonna play center now, and then he's like, great, and then he like snaps it into his ass, and the ball just goes. That's just like comedy of errors.
But it made me feel good about seeing the Tampa Bay because we were like trying to get Barton. That was like the other, like interior lineman that we could have gotten, and he had like that big play where he fucked up towards whatever. It like led to like that field goal, which won me actually $550, which is pretty candy. But I think, and Morgan was like projected to win at the start of the season, and like Sean Ryan actually kind of turned into a pretty decent dude. But I think like just center just needs to get better. But I mean, like Rasheed Walker, I think has been perfectly fine. I think Zach Tom. That was probably the worst Zach Tom performance I've ever seen, and that's really disheartening. We're still, yeah. But like, how many offensive line? Like, we have a really good elite offensive line, and I think you have elite offensive line. The defense looks good. That wins you enough. That's a base that like 20 teams would kill to have. And I think that's our hard part is that, it's like we're just so inundated by success, but also I think that's like a good attitude to have where it's like Super Bowl or bust, like we're title town for a reason, and that's what we should want. So, I don't know. But like we have a lot of cap space, have all of our picks, get 2 7s, we just kind of need good.
Jacobs hinted a little bit about maybe talking to some guys in recruiting.
Yeah, Max Crosby.
It's kind of exciting to me, And is the Max Crosby, if that thing's real, I mean, Vegas, they're probably in rebuild mode now.
Yeah.
Crosby, would be he'd be perfect for a 4-3 defense, too. Like, he's a bigger dude, great run defender, gets to the passer.
Plays every play.
Everyone always says, too, about him, like, he's a culture guy. Like, he's a tone setter. Like, he's the guy who works super hard. I don't think he, drinks at all. He eats super healthy. Yep. He's just football all the time. And that's exactly what we want in Green Bay. So
it seems like every team, not to get racial, but it seems like every team needs a standout white player.
Okay. Who's the standout white player on the Eagles?
Like Cooper DeJean. Right?
Zach Bond's almost.
Yeah, Zach Bond there too, right?
He's like
Lions, Hutchinson. Chiefs, you got Kelsey. Yeah.
Vikings, Darnold
or
quarterback.
Their linebackers, they have some good ones.
Van Ginkel.
Bills, yeah. Josh Allen for the Bills, kind of obvious. Ravens.
Matt Milano for the Bills too.
Yeah, Matt Milano. Ravens might be the one that proves us wrong.
Wait.
Yeah.
Ravens look good, by the way.
Yeah, they do. I think in that game looks to be like a true toss-up, which is kind of interesting.
Sam Graban has left the meeting. All right, well, this is the Ryan Mulcahy show now.
Whoops.
There he is.
I left. Hopefully,
I almost took over for a second there.
Yeah. Mark Andrews.
Oh yeah, Mark Andrews.
Yeah, but he's not like elite. Well, I see, kind of is. Tyler Lindenbaum.
We have Luke Van Ness, dude.
Yeah, he's not elite. Let's be real here.
How disappointing, Luke! My disappointments for the year
Kyle
were
Van Noy.
Musgrave. Van Noy's not white.
Yes, he is.
No, he's
no,
not.
he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Luke Musgrave was pretty disappointing this year overall. I know he got hurt. I did see him in one play. The only play I saw him in last night was the Jacobs 1 yard line touchdown where I think we had like 4 tight ends and we blocked.
Yeah. It's like he had that amazing play or like Justin Fields, right, where he like chased him down. It's like, oh my god, this guy's a freak. And then and like Brenton Cox, like one, it's kind of hilarious that like this UDFA he gets no run and then he becomes arguably our best pass rusher. I mean, Gary's gotten really good at setting the run, which is kind of funny because that's what he was like historically bad about. So it's like it's almost like he has like a one-track thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to be really good against this, and like everything else fails. But I do think with our pass rush, it's like you like limit, like it's not so much about sacks, it's more contain and just like getting pressure, and like just forcing throwaways type thing. And I think with like elite QBs, that's almost a better plan, because it's like elite QBs are going to get the ball out anyways, and if you just pressure them and just make sure that like the throw that they do make is not a good one, like you'll be okay with that, or you get like a holding penalty, and that's like it's just as good as a sack, But but I think this white thing is like, I'm not saying like you definitely don't want the whole team to be white, but it seems like you need one elite white to be an elite team, and this seems like I'm onto something, man.
What's the t-shirts like the wine? What do they call like wine?
Oh yeah, exciting whites. Yeah,
exciting whites.
That wine thing. Yeah, you need one exciting white.
You gotta have one exciting white. All right. Well, hopefully we draft someone good.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Should we move on from the Packers? It was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope if we don't get a Crosby, I was looking like Carlton Davis would be one fun guy to get. He's a cornerback. He's 28 years old, and he plays for the Lions. So it'd be kind of nice to like steal someone from a divisional, make them a little worse.
That almost feels like I hear you, but it just feels
dirty.
Like it's like the realistic, like where the Packers are at in the division, where we're just not just like the top dogs, and like now we're have to like. But that's what we have to. I mean, the reality is Packers are not the top dogs.
Yeah, I do think that there's going to be a lot of changes over the next year, though. Yeah. I mean, Darnold is probably out, I'm guessing. Well, now it seems like
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, weird there. I do think Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach, so
yeah,
Minnesota's probably going to be good. But I mean, the Lions are going to get really shaken up this offseason. It sounds like their DC is going to the Saints, maybe.
Yeah.
And then their OC is definitely going to – he's rumored everywhere. So
yeah,
he'll have like wherever he wants pretty much.
Also, Mike McCarthy is out of the Cowboys coach.
Breaking news, Mike McCarthy is the new head coach of your Chicago Bears.
That just feels right.
You heard it here first. Hilarious if that actually happens. Yeah. One thing that I was looking at, Sam, if you can see here.
Yep.
So this is like the NFL of just quarterbacks for the points.
Yep.
And like I was a little surprised that Jordan Love is ranked 15th.
Yep.
So he's kind of like an average quarterback this year.
And that's what he felt. That's what he felt like. He felt like an average QB this year.
Yeah. Worse than some kind of surprising guys. Like Tua was ranked 8th, Bo Nix 9th. And then Goff being 4th actually kind of surprised me. Because I know he's played well, but I still feel like he's such a system quarterback.
He's just operating in a really good system. I think the Amon-Ra like drop thing, I think that like imagine you swap one of our receivers out with like 13% drop rate to like a 1% drop rate. Like how much different your offense is because of that.
Yeah. God. Painful, man. And that's I don't know if that's something like can you easily fix that? I mean, I know guys have fixed drop rates in the past, like Devontae.
I think it's kind of like the Josh Allen curse where it's like it's us with Devontae Adams, where it's like, oh, we fixed one guy, and like, it makes us too patient with wide receivers, and it's like maybe they do, but fucking don't count on it.
I do think one thing about this loss, and not just this loss, but the last 3 losses, I feel a little bit like going into the last offseason not as hungry or like not less to prove.
Exactly. And like we felt like we did what we were supposed to do, and now
like this loss and the last couple losses almost is like take a week off, go to vacation, and like almost like want to get back to work. Like
right, exactly.
So much left out there that we could do. And it does kind of piss me off because our defense was playing pretty awesome, and I think our offense was scoring over 24 points every game. So those two combine those two together, like you should win a lot of football games. And
I think that's the hard part. Is that we did win a lot of football games, but it was all against like lower level competition, and like we never had any signature win. You could say like shutting out the Saints. That was it. And like I think this was Matt LaFleur's first loss to the Bears, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of mind blowing. But like, I think that's almost like says like if you lose to the Bears and like shit needs to change, and like that should have been a giant warning like that. Like even if it was like our like having half mass, half power, like losing the Bears is just not okay, and like fuck, there might be.
This year, they're in like middle chaos. They've lost 10 in a row. Their head coach gets fired. Their OC gets fired. And then you lose to them because and we honestly kind of got dominated that game. Like we were playing to come back at the end, and then they came back again. But like, it just was another. And what's that at home too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, gross. I don't even want to think about that, honestly.
So, and I think like getting the ball to start the first half is like a curse. Like I think that shit has just never worked all season, and we just kept doing it. I mean, this time we lost the coin toss, but it seems every time we got the ball first, it was just bad things happen.
I don't like the return and the kicks, honestly. Like it seems like we lose yards. We're never at the 25.
Yeah. And like Keyshawn Nixon thinks he's so much better at it, and he can point to like, oh, he's like all pro. A kick returner or whatever, but no, he's
returns.
Yeah. And like for what he's being paid, he did pretty damn well as like an outside corner, But like but I feel like just something with his mentality just seems kind of like a locker room cancer. I don't know.
It's a little. Whenever he returns, it just makes me feel it's a little selfish.
Yeah,
like, exactly. Why are you returning that? And he's playing great. I think he is playing good at corner, and he's tackling, and he's like battling. And I have no problem with what he's doing at cornerback. And he's like improved a lot over the last couple of years. So like take that and run with it. Like fuck the kickoff shit, dude. Like just get it to the 25. And I think that's another like good example of the game. It's just like it was such a game where we went into the game knowing like we can't make mistakes. We just got to play like good, clean football. Get like 3 yards every play. Like, don't do anything crazy. And we did the complete opposite.
I think we're incapable of that this season. We're just incapable.
That's just like coaching to me. That's just execution coaching, and something's got to like Matt's got to do some real big self scouting. I would like to see, to your point, like we did those like weird reverses on like short fourth and shorts, and then like everyone like hates those. Then Matt gets scared to run them, but don't run those. Run the ones on like 1st and 10 where you're faking it. It seems like he's confused when to do it, and he's scared. He's just like, I don't know. It's like he's like in a slump almost in baseball, and he's just going up to the batter's box, and he just has like no idea what's gonna happen, and he just like swinging, like flailing his bat, and he's walking his ass, and his like helmet's falling off while he's swinging, and he's walking back to the dugout, and everyone's just like, dude, you need to like take a day off or like something to just like figure something shit out.
I think he needs to get like slapped across the face. Like he just needs, and he's like angry at his team, like I don't know, like I would like the
Slayton thing also was like that's coaching to me. Like when Slayton does that, like that's a little bit of reflection on the coaching and the mentality, and I honestly don't care at all. I kind of like
it. I mean, fuck it, whatever. At least someone showed that they cared.
And like Saquon's like celebrating like a first down in that play. I'm like, dude, you're what a fucking loser. But yeah, I mean, it was tough. Devontae Smith, I thought, made a couple nice plays. He's really good. He's like forgettable, and then he's a freaking Heisman Trophy winner, great route runner, great hands. AJ Brown reading the book on the sideline, bizarre.
I guess he does that all the time, though.
I think that's a really bad sign for their team. I don't know why.
Or that they're just like so comfortable that they didn't give a shit.
But maybe it's like that crazy wide receiver thing. So you just like you take it with it. As long as he's like blocking well, I guess, and trying hard.
Yeah. I mean, we completely took out AJ Brown all game. I mean, like I think our defense showed the fuck up. Yeah. I mean, they did.
Yep.
And offense, it's like, I guess maybe it's like Bizarro Packers thing, go from Rodgers to Love, and now maybe we're just going to be an elite defense team, and like everyone's just going to have to get used to that.
I'd be okay being an elite defensive team with Jordan Love and Jake. I think you just got to have a better pass game. I love Josh Jacobs and a great guy. But like, you just got to be able to pass the ball better in this league if you want to win games.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and especially when you get down 7, it just and you. How many rushes did Jacobs have last night? Not enough for my liking. I would say. I guess 18. Okay, you ran 18. That's enough. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Jacobs was good. I like Jacobs. He ran 6. He was not playing really against the Bears. That's actually pretty crazy. Look at those touchdowns. So he finished scoring. He scored a shit ton of touchdowns.
Yeah, dude, fancy.
Like from November 17th.
Yeah.
He had 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He had 13 touchdowns in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in 9 games. I mean, that's But I still think like when it comes push to shove, you're going to get put in situations where you kind of like unfortunately have to abandon the run. Like we saw last night, you're down 12 points with clock running.
The thing is, the shit only works. Like this shit would work so well if we had leads, And I think like that's our whole offense was predicated on, because you saw that like when we played Miami, that Miami game or the San Francisco game or the New Orleans game or Seattle game, like when we're in control and it's like we have that mindset, we feel good, like then we just smother teams and that shit just plays, right? But it's like you're down, then it's like completely it all falls apart.
And we put us into that situation like 30 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and then but that's how it always seems to start. Like we always get these opening kickoffs, and then like against bad teams we score, and then we feel good. Against good teams we fuck up, and then we're down, and then we're just down the rest of the game.
Yeah, there's like we don't know how to come back, and maybe that's a little bit.
We do, but we don't. Like we do enough where it's like we make it interesting, but like not, like none of these games did we ever have the ball to like actually score. No. Like now the box score looks better than it actually was.
Yeah, that is true. I think it is just frustrating a little bit. Like the Lions are a really good team. We lost by 3 to them. Minnesota, we lose by 2. I mean, we are close.
Yeah, we don't get blowout like in really anything.
Yeah. I expect us to have a good offseason. We'll draft. We're not going to really lose much. I would like to re-sign Slayton. Would you re-sign McDuffie?
Maybe. He's really good against the run. He sucks dick against the pass.
Yeah, we can't have him out there.
Yeah.
The pass, unfortunately. We'll make some decisions.
I think McManus had re-signed.
I would definitely re-sign McManus. I know he missed the one last night, but like, it sucks being stressed out about a kicker.
Yeah.
And he was fine all year. He made the huge one against Chicago.
Shit, Eagles missed one and missed an extra point.
Jake Elliott missed an extra point. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was funny. And that's what I thought, like, holy shit, we're going to win this because that could have been huge.
Vibes.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to do a quick what did you think of LAC and Houston?
I was only able to like watch. I wasn't able to give full attention to it, but I don't know. Like Houston, I think more like it seemed like Herbert lost this game, 4 picks, right? It's kind of nice that he had a worse rating. Like that actually really helps that Herbert had a word, and like the narrative is going to be more on him than it'll be on Jordan Love. Like Jordan Love's able to kind of slide underneath that shit. So that's nice. But yeah, I don't know. Like in the Chargers, I think, right, it's kind of like the Packers last year, where it's like you overperform, and obviously other than Ladd, they don't really have any weapons, and dealing with cap and stuff like that. Like bright future, Herbert. I don't know, just maybe it's like Rivers. Like the moment's too big for him, and he's just a regular season merchant. I kind of I saw the line was like 8 points against the Chiefs. I like that for the Texans. Because I don't think the Chiefs are that good, and like I think Houston's kind of playing a little bit with house money, and like Nico Collins is a stud. And like Chiefs didn't really seem to blow anyone out all year, so like I think the Chiefs will still win, but I think Texans kind of like get some swagger back, and like CJ Stroud needed that, And Kamari Lassiter, I think do you have picks?
Kamari Lassiter had 2 pass deflections.
Yeah. He might have had a pick. I don't know.
One pick.
Yeah.
One pick.
Yeah. Derek Stingley. I mean, their defense is really good too. So
their defense balled out, I thought.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I think that might be interesting. Like, I think Houston needed that. And like, I'll talk about like them sucking dick. They won, and now they play the Chiefs, where they'll think like, oh, you suck dick. No chance. But this could be the year where the Chiefs just get bounced, I either see the Chiefs lose this game or they go on to the Super Bowl. I think those are the 2 options.
I like the points a lot because I do think it'll be a close game. The Houston Texans defense really impressed me.
Yep.
But then you look at their roster and you're like, Will Anderson, stud, Derek Stingley, stud, Daniil Hunter, stud. Like they do have a ton of talent. Azeez Al-Shaair.
Harris, but he's good.
That dude brings an edge, Does he do some things after the play? I don't
know. That's kind of fucking what you want, though, to be honest.
Yeah, on your team. Kalen Bullock is a young
Georgia guy
playing well. Mario Edwards Jr. had 1.5 sacks. He's always been pretty solid. Kamari Lassiter. So I like their defense a ton.
Yeah.
And if they can keep like playing like this and creating turnovers, I thought Joe Mixon played.
Joe Mixon is actually like one of the worst running backs, like by success percentage, which is kind of funny.
He looked great yesterday when he was playing.
Yeah.
Runs really hard. He had the great touchdown that at the end that kind of finished the game, I thought. Stroud actually had a couple nice runs, and he's not really the most run quarterback guy. I thought it was a big game for him. I didn't think he was like lights out, but he just played really solid. And like, I think you're 100% right. Nico Collins. I don't know, something about Nico Collins' name. It just doesn't make me want to think he's like a superstar. It's just such a normal.
It's like Mike Evans. It's like Mike Evans.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a normal name.
Yeah, and I don't know, you just look at him and he just seems like a normal guy. He's just kind of like, but he's playing really well. 7 catches, 122 yards and a touchdown, 41 long. I mean, and next on their team is 34 yards. So, I mean, it was really all Nico Collins. And
fucking look at Los Angeles, like Ladd. Holy shit, was I right about Ladd? But then you have Quentin Johnson, 5 targets, no catches.
It's crazy, too, with Ladd. You know that about Ladd, and he still is able to get –
He's like Puka.
Yeah. Quentin Johnson, yikes. We gave him a shout-out, and he failed us.
Yeah, holy shit.
DJ Chark, hilarious. He sent a picture 30 minutes after the game, and he said, "I've missed you," and it was a picture of a joint.
Yeah, that's really what you need.
Which is
maybe he was the one that started the fires or contributed to it, smoking marijuana.
Disley, horrible drop that led to the interception.
Yeah, holy shit.
So they just need some weapons.
I mean, but they feel good about Ladd. I mean, you should feel really good about Ladd.
Yeah.
No, and Joe Alt, Yeah,
true. Good 2 first picks. And they are kind of in like that changing the team.
Yeah.
Low key though, is Bosa available?
Would you want him? Is he good? Is he good?
Joey Bosa?
Yeah, is he? Let's look at PFF.
I think he's pretty. I mean, I don't think he's.
What about TJ Watt?
I would 100% teach TJ
Yeah,
Watt.
maybe
What happened?
Maybe Steelers.
But what was the weird stat
Joey
about
Bosa is just
TJ
average.
TJ Watt had like no tackles in the last 100 and some plays. What was that?
Yeah. That Ravens guard who like was the one who like asked for the jersey. He was the one that was against them, and he like balled out. Like that guy has had such a glow up in the past 2 games.
Yeah. So TJ Watt last 127 snaps of 24, 0 tackles, 0 assists, 0 sacks. That's crazy to me. That's like multiple games. And I know people are scheming away from him, but 0 assists is like, that's kind of a hustle thing. Like,
it makes me feel a lot better about Rashawn Gary.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just scheming away from Rashawn Gary.
I think so. And Gary had a sack, so it wasn't like he was completely.
So maybe I wouldn't take Bosa. A little expensive, getting a little older, but
I'd take fucking the guy in the Browns.
Myles Garrett. Oh yeah. I would. Yeah. I mean, he was the best. I think he's the best defensive player all year, right?
Yeah.
How many sacks did he finish with?
A lot.
More than us.
All right. So let's move
on. Baltimore kind of kicked ass. Lamar played great. They jumped out to a 21-0 lead at half, right? And it just kind of felt. It was kind of funny because, like, the Steelers, I thought they were going to battle a little bit, but I think Tomlin's out.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah. I don't know. I guess if McCarthy's out, then Tomlin might be out.
I think you just got to switch it up, and I think they will.
I don't think they will. I think that organization is kind of like the Packers, where it's just, like, because you go to the playoffs, that's fine. And, that's fine. I think probably they'll resign Russell Wilson too to like a 2-3 year deal. Unfortunately, and then draft a QB to try to like have them prep and waiting.
Okay, I mean the Kenny Pickett thing was so bad, and that was the first round pick. I can't believe they did that. And
then you have the Trey Lance thing. I don't know, like, yeah.
It just seemed forced at the time because he was playing at Pittsburgh University.
Yeah.
Local kid, and it was like this storyline. And it's like, guys, we don't live in a Disney Channel movie, Like that doesn't mean he's going to be good just because you want him to be good. So, and then Buffalo.
Well, where do you think? All right, so Fields, where do you think he go? What happens with him?
I have no idea what happens with Fields. He actually played decently when he did play. There were some people calling for him to play over Russell, which I don't know about that, but he's just not a good thrower. I still don't think he's like his issue's always been just like reading defenses and like the timing and the execution of routes. I think he's kind of like he's an athletic dude, good backup. I think he's like you could have some fun goal line like packages, red zone packages for him.
Yeah.
And maybe to your point, like bringing in a backup that you have packages and you throw variability at a defense, and all of a sudden it's like shit. Like when you have a guy like Fields around the goal line, and you have your running back blocked, all of a sudden you got 10 blockers on 11 defenders instead of having 9 blockers and the quarterback just standing there doing nothing. So I would run Fields at the goal line. Like worst case.
Well, worst case is he fumbles a fuck ton, and I think that's something that's always overlooked about Fields is how much he's fucking fumbled. And actually, too, about Baker Mayfield, I only saw it on the cast, but Baker Mayfield was a leading fumbler this year, and that kind of surprised me. Yeah, I
saw Baker, truck stick, Bobby Wagner, and
that was awesome. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
And Mike Evans put fucking Lattimore on put him on skates.
Yeah. Probably love that one. Let's see, fumbles. So he had 4 fumbles this year. And
that's a lot for
62 carries.
So that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah, he had 20 fumbles. He didn't lose any this year, but 20 fumbles and 400 carries. So 1 out of every 20.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a high rate. Hold on, 2 hands. So he just run. So when I'm coaching him, I'm just telling him 2 hands on the football, run straight ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think there's some potential. I think Trey Lance too. Like you could have some fun with like some big athletic dudes around the goal line, and teams should look at doing that stuff because the goal line's a bitch to score sometimes. We struggled with it this year, and
Phil Jacobs, they finally just gave him the ball at time. But then I don't know, the Eagles D line is just too good for running up the middle type shit. You know, I think that's one thing where it's like it's good against good teams, and maybe it can be workable against like good great teams, but like amazing teams, that shit doesn't work.
Yeah. Not only is the Eagles D line good, like they kept zooming in on the players, and they look like they're just having fun too. They're just like smiling.
No one looked like they were having fun yesterday. There was like zero fun in the entire, like even from the start. You know, like it was just even before the play even went off. Like it just
yeah. It did feel it just felt scary. I don't know. It was weird. How did we do on our picks? Were we only right about Washington? We had Washington. I think I picked Washington, Chargers, Pittsburgh, and Denver. Yeah, I think not good picks. Hopefully, no one bet on picks. Not financial advice on this podcast.
Yeah.
Tonight, though, what do you think? Rams, Vikings?
I think I'm just gonna like go against myself and say Vikings, but I'm like I don't know. I'm like I'm all scrambled now when it comes to like NFL predicting shit. Like I just like one, I think like the Vikings that just game, they look so outclassed, but also like Stafford kind of, you know, I don't know. Like I don't know how good he is. And like the Vikings D is like actually really good, you know? But like then you have Puka, like I think Puka can just really fuck shit up, you know? I don't know. And like moving the stadium, I think that plays some sort of factor. Like I think there'll be definitely more Minnesota people there now than it was like LA, because like LA I think already suffers from it, and so you have like all these people from California, but like maybe they just want to say I want to get the fuck out of the state. Like my home burns down, I can't be here anyway, so might as well go to like Arizona to a game. I guess I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with like almost any outcome of this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game. I do think that the Vikings are getting like a weird amount of disrespect. They are 14-3.
And their defense was so good this year.
Great defense. They go down to the 5 seed because the Lions had an incredible year, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Rams are going to beat them." It's like, I don't know, man. I kind of feel the Vikings tonight too, even though I totally want the Rams.
I mean, I think like if the Vikings loses, Darnold out. If the Vikings win this, Darnold in. I think this is like Darnold can like make or break like 50. Like there's probably $50 million riding on him.
Which last big game he did fucking lose his mind a little bit.
Yeah, and so like I almost like choke jobs. Like the Vikings are no strangers to being choke jobs. So and like maybe like the universe gives us something back where like if Minnesota chokes, like I feel so much better about this whole season, and I can just like put all my pain out on them, type thing. So I don't know. I'm feeling a Vikings win, but like there's just something about that last game, and like the Rams kind of overcoming shit and like being that team that no one wants to play against, I don't know, like Stafford type thing. Like it seems like other than Jay and Daniels, the more that's not true actually. I don't know. I don't know. I've had a lot of luck with unders though on sports betting, so that would be if someone's listening to this, and that would be the only thing I'd offer is unders.
I like it. I think this is my prediction. The loss against the Lions and the way Darnold played was the best thing that happened to him because he got all of that shit out of his system. He can just like settle in, relax, and just play how he's played all year. And I think like Kevin O'Connell has done a really good job mentally with Darnold, like just managing, but also like giving him a lot of confidence. And I know we talked earlier about like babying the quarterback a little bit too much, but it's worked really well for them this year. So I think like he'll like bounce back pretty good tonight. And I think they do win. The Rams, I don't know. I think it's like hard. Like you got to think like a lot of their family, friends are probably dealing with this shit. It's got to affect you, right? Like,
yeah, but it's like, are you channeling it because you're pissed off, or are you just distracted from the game plan?
I think it's more of a distracted because it's not like I don't know if you like get angry at this. It's like a natural.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, and you probably think it's like climate change, and it's like, there's no like one person I can pin this on.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And I guess division too, right? Like, NFC North like toughens you up versus playing NFC West. But also on your point, like Love, like Packers, had this loss, like be gritty and like they just got absolutely punched in the mouth. But like Eagles are way grittier than the Rams are, I think,
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I guess yeah, you kind of sold me. I feel Vikings too. Yeah, and like I think it's like torture for Packers, right? Like this is the year where we just get ass fucked by the universe, and it seems like the Vikings will win because of that.
Yeah, maybe we just roll with it, I guess.
Are we closer to? Are the Packers closer to the Bears or closer to Detroit in terms of skill?
I would say Detroit. I think they're closer to Detroit. The Bears are well. The Bears do have.
They beat us, and like they have a lot of money. Yeah, I guess it depends on this coaching hire, but I don't know.
The Bears are weird because when you look at their roster, it's really not that bad. Like Jalen Johnson is a top corner. Montez Sweat, I think, is a good player. Edwards played pretty solid for them all year. And then you got like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Caleb was pretty good. I mean, besides his like mentally decision making, I thought was his weakness. The line you said was decent. So maybe we are close to the Bears, but I just think as like an organization, the Bears are just so far, like so far.
Yeah, but I could see Caleb being like Justin Fields, but I could see, I don't know, like I think the win versus the Packers, I think that does a lot, especially the last game of the season. That changes a lot of things.
Yeah, I saw someone got his phone number and they like texted him like,
hey, that was hilarious.
This is Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Want to like just go, want to talk to you and Caleb like messaged him back. He's like, yeah, we'll meet up. Good luck in the games. Which is like, and then they FaceTimed him and they're just like, we're just messing with you. But that would be so funny because like, I'm like, Caleb, do you not know, like you got to interview all these guys and like, like, dude, how would you not?
But it's like your first year in the NFL. Like, I mean, do really any like first year QBs know how the process works? Like, probably not,
Apparently not, because he's like, I guess Ben Johnson's our coach. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. I've seen a lot of rumors, so okay, yeah.
I know. I totally identify with him there, just like being trusting of people and then being taken advantage of like that. Like, I totally get that.
Bro, how would you not know?
I would totally fall for the same shit.
Yeah, it just classic.
You think Bears regret not taking Jaden Daniels? Like, I mean, Jaden Daniels looks like the fucking real deal.
I don't think they would admit it.
But 100% I would. I mean, he's One thing that is a little concerning with me about Caleb is he's a little shorter than you like. He's like 6'1", maybe. Daniels is 6'5", and I do think that when you're like 6'4", 6'5", you got 5 linemen in front of you, 6'6", all of them are these days. Like, you got to be able to see over the line, and just something about taking hits. Like, Caleb's a pretty thick guy, I would say, but like, I mean, you take like 60 sacks and you're a 6'1" dude, like it just hurts. And it's hard to wrap up a 6'5" guy, I think, too. Like, it just Well, and I mean, the scrambling is so much different, right? Caleb scrambles just to like, he's like a retard with like his head cut off and like doing shit. And like sometimes that works out. But Daniels like scrambles to get like fucking first downs. Like that stiff arm, was a Kalijah Cansey where he's like perfectly on him to get that first. Incredible. Like, I mean, that's like Josh Allen type shit for like this skinny beanpole of a guy and like, more NFL weight room type stuff. And like, the Bears offensive line is definitely better than the Commanders offensive line is. Wide receiver. I mean, Scary Terry has really come into himself, but like, I think part of it is like receivers make QBs look good, QBs make receivers look good. It's like a dual process, I think, where you feed off each other. But like, I don't know, like Jaden Daniels, like I'd take him over Darnold. I would, at this point, like if you're saying QB, I want you to win the game, I'd take him over Baker. Fuck, I'd probably take him over Jared Goff.
Yeah. Well, I think he's like what I was complaining about with Love, like just not taking over the game and just being like, I'm just going to like make it done. I think Jaden Daniels, he kind of has that attitude more where he's like, the ball's in my hand and I'm just going to like run around and like backyard football and like figure a way to get a first down. I'm just going to like figure it out. I don't care what the play is. I don't care what the defense does. I'm just going to make it happen. And he's fast as fuck and it's fun to watch.
So do you think
I will say one thing, Scary Terry, dude, I wish we had Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Holy shit, that contested catch.
He's a great guy to have on your team.
Well, because of Jaden Daniels, right, LSU, do you think then like Brian Kelly is underrated as how good of a talent developer he is? Like, no, you would probably want Brian Kelly over Marcus Freeman then.
He showed up and Jaden Daniels was there. So he didn't really develop him.
Well, but he came into the situation like they were paired, so like he was intelligent enough to ascertain the talent of what he was coming into, and that talent led to superstardom.
I'll say this. I hope that everyone in America agrees with you and we keep Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame forever. And everyone
I mean, but I sense like a tinge of regret that I think you think like Brian Kelly in some aspects is better than Marcus, because like in terms of like NFL prospects, right? ND, like Joe All, but he's kind of mid. Like like LSU, Jefferson, Chase, Burrow. Yeah, so like that's definitely a clear thing. I think we can both agree on that Brian Kelly's better at than Marcus Freeman. And you're kind of there's missing him. You're missing him a little bit.
And I'm so excited. I love Marcus Freeman. He's the man. We are going to we're 9.5-point dogs. We're just going to go in there and battle. And it's it's the head coach. He's going to set the tone. Marcus Freeman is everything that Matt LaFleur is not. He is like the tone setter. He's a dog.
Yeah, maybe LaFleur is a born again Christian. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think Brian Kelly has a better Southern accent than Marcus Freeman.
Who do you think LaFleur voted for in this past election? Do you think he's a lib?
That's a good question. I think yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Or he's like not a voter, I could see.
Yeah, I could see him being a big RFK guy maybe.
He's one of those like high level guys who like doesn't really get into it, and he probably just like sees all the Trump stuff and doesn't like it.
Yeah, and maybe that's like what AJ Dillon, like maybe, like reason for
got him hurt on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out like what his voting is.
It was kind of nice that AJ Dillon like was going to the rally.
Yeah,
it was like super rare.
That came out of nowhere. I did not expect that.
Yeah, AJ Dillon, okay,
interesting.
All right. It's funny. I was thinking about like we do this podcast like weekly, and usually I have like the slides, and the last slide I always just leave world chaos, and it's funny like how much shit actually does. It's like
every week
how shit actually does happen, and like a week goes by and like fucking half of LA is gone.
Have you? I mean, so yeah, right. Everyone kind of knows this, but there's something like I haven't really thought people talk about. So like what Minnesota like Democrats are doing, they like secretly like did approvals for their like elections, and they're like blocking Republicans from doing confirmations. And like now the Minnesota Republicans are gonna like, because they're not gonna show up, the Minnesota Democrats, to do a quorum to like put in power the people that were elected, which is kind of like voting, like vote or denial or whatever. So now the Minnesota Republicans are like, if they don't show up, they're gonna like do it, like triggers an automatic recall election or something like that. So there, yeah, it's just kind of like there's some really crazy shit going on with Minnesota local politics, state politics that I don't really see people talking about, but it's kind of wild.
Well, they pretty much got full control of the government in Minnesota, and I don't know, in my opinion, they just like took it too far, and I don't think anyone really wants to see, like, people get frustrated with, you know, inefficiencies in government, but like people also don't want to see like one side just go nuts.
I'm not sitting here in California or really Illinois. Illinois.
I mean, how's that going, right? So I guess they do vote for it, but I don't know. Yeah, the California stuff sucks. I mean, one of the craziest things to me, I think, like at the end of the day, is when you have juvenile prisoners fighting fires, something went wrong. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is happening? You know?
Well, I guess nice Ukraine was going to send people over, and it's like the fire's already out. Like, I don't know. It just seems like, yeah. I don't know if they did or not, but they're like, yeah, we'll send firefighters over.
I saw it too. I'm like,
because like they donated fire equipment from California.
Yeah, I was like, shouldn't those firefighters be fighting the war?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. Like the whole Ukraine thing is kind of like, it just feels like it's kind of getting sus.
It is weird. It's like we have resources to send to you. We have people to send to you.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
But we need all these more billions of dollars.
But also, like, they still have people on the front lines dying. Also, like my brother, he sent me a video of just some like close range combat because, you know, he's a Marine. So I watched it 15 minutes, and it is just like so wild being able to see that from.
Yeah, like, and you could see all of it, like all the drone shit and everything. Yeah.
It's honestly horrifying. And I am thinking, I'm like, what would I do? You know, and I'm like, I wouldn't be there. You know?
Yeah. Holy shit. I would definitely, man.
Like all of a sudden you got bullets flying over your head.
Yeah.
And they're like ducking and stuff, and they're just kind of like shooting randomly in the air. I'm like, do they actually hit people doing that? Or like, you know, it's I don't actually know like how real war. I think it's a lot.
Well, now it's gotten like fucking. I mean, the drone shit. I think it's just gotten so crazy, and that like all these cheap drones are just taking everything out, and it's just like we're like in the era of like modern robot kind of warfare, and like no one really realizes it, or like it's kind of like when tanks or Air Force kind of first came on the scene. You know, it's like, oh, we had all these trench battles in World War I, and we thought like World War II was going to do that. And then like it doesn't happen, and it's like you like are slow to adapt to like the new reality. And like now, like I mean, that was kind of like what Syria too. Like there's a shit ton of drones too, and like Ukraine helped like the Syria like rebels take over, and it's just like how cheaply you can get these drones. Like I don't know, like it just equalizes everything, and it's just there's so many impacts that I think no one really knows about, and hopefully maybe like defense budgets just get slashed. I mean, that never happens though, but it could.
Yeah, we ended the Afghanistan war, and we still spend more money.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I did listen to some of the FBI director on 60 Minutes, and he was talking about how like China has this huge cyber team of like hackers and stuff, and pretty much he's like they've already infiltrated all of our like water treatment plants, cell towers. He's like, they already have malware all over the U.S. shit, and pretty much at any time, they've already been messing with us.
Just cripple our economy.
But they can like mess with us, and like it's almost like too late to even do anything about it. It's kind of horrifying if you think about it. And then you read the story about not that this has anything to do with China, but you read the story about the lady who had to leave her son because and she couldn't even call 911. And like when you read stories about like that, it's like that's like third world shit. Like you can't call 911.
Yeah,
that's like horrifying to me. I'm like, we're so much better than that. We should be so much better than that as a country. And you have a disabled son who like whose house is on fire, and you can't do anything. You just have to like let it burn. Like, I mean,
like talk about like nightmare. Like, I mean, how do you like live with yourself? You know?
Yeah. She has a broken arm. Like, talk about radicalizing too for people. I mean,
it's
it's going to be really interesting to see the fallout and like, are people held accountable? I think at the end of the day, whether you can point and say like it was one person's fault, like when shit happens like this, you just got to change things. Like it doesn't matter if it was like someone, regardless, like you just got to make changes. And, you know, California historically really hasn't. So will this be a change for them?
I don't
Maybe.
know. It seems like it has a good chance to be, but you know, and I think the funny thing too is like, you know, all the onerous like environmental regulations to build that has like impeded so much building. Like, yeah, some news just like waived it, you know, and it's just
Crazy.
like you could just, and I mean, then you have to think like what's the purpose? Like the purpose of the system is what it does, and I think like the quote sticks with me, and I think too with California, like purpose of their system is like they don't want to build stuff because it enriches the homeowners, right? And like those are the people that donate to them. And it's like they say they do lip service about like, oh, building poverty. It's like no, like they want like in with Prop 13 where it freezes your property tax, like everything is like it's kind of funny, like the most leftist places in some aspects and maybe all aspects, but I won't go that far. But like they're the ones that most serve the wealthy elite is, you know, like the most progressive Democrat. And I think that's why they are, because they realize what they're doing. They kind of feel a little guilty about it. And so like to assuage their, you know, mentality, it's like, we're just going to give a lot. And it doesn't really matter what it's for. Cause like the whole purpose is to make themselves feel better. It's not to actually solve any problem. You know, it's just like, all right, we're just going to give a lot. Who really gives a shit what it's used for?
You project a lot too, right? You project your own insecurities because you're looking around, you're living in these like huge ass mansions, and you're looking around.
And you're paying like $2,000 in property tax.
Yeah, and you do like, you know, you look back now and you read those stories about celebrities like because they had water allotments too, and people would go like 100,000 gallons over their water allotment, shit like that, and you're just like, I don't know, man. Like people just gotta. Yeah, it's like you can say all the nicest things in the world and you can donate to whatever cause, but like if you're a shitty human, you're kind of a shitty human. So
yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully, hope for the best for the people out there. I don't know. It's horrible. Like, yeah. I mean, it's just like the priceless stuff you're losing. Besides like the death, like just losing your house, losing like your pictures. I think like one thing I was thinking about, it would suck like because we all have cell phones with pictures on our phones, right? But like a lot of those older photos of say maybe like people that have passed away recently from old age, like grandparents, our grandparents or older people's parents, like those photos you just lose a lot of. And I think it's sad because like those pictures can spark a lot of like memories and
there's something too about like the actual picture book itself, right? Like sure you have it on your phone, but like there's something about like an actual picture, right? That's like aged and all that stuff, you know? I think our digital stuff is good in a lot of areas, but in terms of like that kind of stuff, like I don't, you know, it's like there's just some things that can't be recreated digitally as of yet, maybe ever, right?
And then family heirlooms and just all like that type of stuff, and it's just like horrible. But
I think the death count was like surprisingly a lot lower than I thought it would be. Like it's like around like 50 people, you know? And I don't know, that just seems like way lower than for all the fire, you know?
It's crazy. Like some of the videos, man, I can't believe how close people were like into the fires.
Yeah,
like,
it almost felt like a war, like apocalypse, you know?
And they're just like taking hoses.
Like, the rapture.
Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be fucking leaving that. Like,
you know, like, you know,
It's so weird too when you live in the Midwest, and for most of your life, and you're just like, you just don't even like think about things like this.
Yeah,
and it's kind of nice. I don't know. Should more people live in the Midwest? Maybe.
Probably. And I mean, especially water, right? Like having fresh lakes is, you know, if like the whole climate stuff ends up becoming a reality, like having access to all that basically free fresh water, you know.
Do you rebuild and like just hope that next time, like, you know,
I mean, so I think you kind of have to get like the insurance payout. Like you do have to. I mean, I'm not sure how that works, but like, I guess the most optimistic scenario is like, you know how you need like fires to like cut out all the crap, right? Like, and they didn't do that, but like maybe the silver lining is like, one, you don't have all these single like this. Like, I know that they changed the zoning from just being all single family to like multiple, so you can actually like build in these areas and like realize that like, okay, all the fire shit that we did was just terrible, and we need to actually do a realistic, you know, like all these environmental shit ends up being so much worse for the environment than it was, and maybe some common sense environmental shit actually takes place in California. You know, I don't hold out hope, but like hopefully that happens. But
well,
yeah,
just waiving the regulations to build is like a pretty big step, honestly. And it is unfortunate though that it takes like a disaster like this for people to realize.
I mean, you need pain. You need pain to change.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but
yeah, it is what it is.
Packers
too. We need pain.
We kind of had our own wildfire last night.
I think ours pain is worse than the wildfire.
It depends. Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask.
I mean, if you're a diehard Niners fan, you'd be like, "Fuck it, I'll trade my house being burned for a Niners Super Bowl one." I bet that a good portion of the fan base would do that.
Would you trade your house for a Packers Super Bowl win?
I do it for Brewers.
You got to check if the Spencer's around.
Yeah, no, I do it for the Brewers. I do it for Brewers World Series.
Yeah.
If I get money back and it's just like, you know, 2 years living wherever, you know, like, all right, whatever.
I'd give up my apartment in a heartbeat.
Yeah, fuck yeah. All right. So I guess closing talks that you do admit in some aspects Brian Kelly is better than
absolutely
Marcus Freeman. And that's going to be the title of the video. I already said it on that.
Marcus Freeman is my hero. No, Marcus Freeman is just the man. Like, he's just a good dude.
Even if you get like blown out by Ohio State, like, is this season a win for you for Notre Dame?
That's a great question. I wouldn't. It's never a win if you don't win at all. In my mind,
yeah.
I'm kind of like.
This is like the farthest ND has gotten in a long time.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like we got so much shit deservedly we went 30 years never winning a J6 bowl.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. Are they called J6 bowls?
Yeah,
that's kind of funny thinking now. But and then we won 2 this year, which is like we won the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl. So it's a great step in the right direction. It's just a whole program. Like, he is recruiting at an insane level now that we're just going to be able to compete and do this pretty much every year, hopefully. And it'll be interesting to see like what quarterback we get next year and like things like that, because Riley's going to go. But I don't know. I think like Will Hart's definitely going to like throw a pick. And it's going to be tough because we play a shit ton of man defense. And Jeremiah Smith is a dog against man. And he really got bottled up, but it was zone. There's a lot of zone defense, and they just like focus on stopping him.
And then you have Ibuka, and then that running back.
Yeah, and Henderson is so underrated. I think he's like he's not rated that high. I think he's like the number.
I really wanted him last year when
he's right there with Jonty and Scadaboo.
Yeah.
And I think Scadaboo is like more of a James Conner.
Yeah.
Jonty's like just special, but Henderson, man, that 4.3 speed, the touchdown for the half, it's just
he kind of reminds me of like Bucky Irving almost, you know, like
he did the same,
or Aaron Jones
against Notre Dame last year when he came to Notre Dame, and like all of a sudden he just breaks one for 50 yards, and it's huge. And like in a big battle, like that's a huge play. So definitely got to get a pick. No, Marcus Freeman is he's the man. He's way better than Brian Kelly.
So you lose by 20. How do you feel? You feel bad about the season, or you feel good about it?
I feel bad about the game.
Yeah, but the whole season.
I don't think the single game is gonna like ruin.
So like not so it's kind of like you already feel good because you just made it no matter what happens.
Well, there's a lot of positives to take away. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there is, right? I think so.
Yeah, I don't feel. It's like you just have a little like hole like waiting to be filled.
I mean, like Michigan, like fuck it, they beat Ohio State. Like I don't give a shit, But like I guess it's like if I was you, I think because it's already done better than Brian Kelly has done, and I think like that's already good. But it's like you get say you get shut out, right, and you get blown out like by 45 points, like does it end up becoming worse than, making that far and getting blown out on the national stage and like losing kind of like maybe I don't know, like Penn State did, right? Or Tennessee.
I don't see that happening. And if it does happen that way, I think like it would have to be some crazy stuff like injury. Yeah. There would have to be some weird, like we're executing at a really high level. We're like the
I agree.
Packers. And because if you look at like our team, like especially in the first half, the injuries was getting kind of insane. And I mean, they kind of dominated us the entire first half on the ground. And I was like, how the hell are we going to figure this out? And I don't know, man, coaches made changes and like, dudes just like, we fight and we go in there and like Marcus Freeman, like he, they got videos and stuff now, but he's like, guys, we're down 7 and we're getting the ball to start the half. Like, let's go get a touchdown. Like we're in this game. You scored 27 points. 24
Actually,
points.
I like Notre Dame to win this. I don't know. I feel like Ryan Day kind of sniffs his own farts and like I don't know, like just the really, really big games. Like I can either see this being an Ohio State blowout or Ohio State loses, because I agree with you. Like a Georgia game, like Notre Dame just did every time they needed it, they got it.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's not like it's just like
it's just fundamental football.
Dudes playing like dogs and like taking risks and not being afraid. Like, dude, we put guys out on one-on-one in the corner. We send the blitz and like we're gonna have those plays. And I'm sure Jeremiah Smith will get a touchdown. But like, fuck it, like we're gonna die swinging, and I'm cool with that. I do think we get a pick from Will Howard, and I think that'll be a big play in the game. And I do think like with our running quarterback, it makes it really hard to stop us. So.
I'll leave on this note, which I saw this, and it was kind of building up last week. The SEC losing, like now we have NIL, is like almost like the South losing slavery. Once you don't have free black labor to build upon, it just all crumbles. And it feels like the North has won the war. Like it feels like a hidden civil war has happened, and we're now seeing the effects of it.
I don't even need to say anything. I just 100% agree. The South will not rise again.
Unfortunately. And Morgan Freeman, General Sherman, Sherman Freeman.
Marcus Freeman,
General. Yeah, doing that like that blaze through Georgia. I don't know, there's like historical parallels there.
Leading the charge, Marcus, man. We're in a great spot. It's gonna be fun. I'm just glad too. We got 11 days. Like I do think one big thing they said about half the team ND had the flu over the last month, so that's
get healthy.
It felt like when we came out of that game, we just seemed a little tired, and we had 2 days less rest than Penn State. And this time we'll have like 11 full days. They have 10 days, so it's like a full recovery. I think like watch number 4, Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame, Heisman next year. That dude is a fucking freak. Like he jumps over guys. That touchdown run he had, just like fucking, you cannot stop me. Unbelievable. And I mean, I fucking love that guy. I think those guys in the locker room, like they just want to go to war with each other, and like that's all you can want really out of a football team. So
that's all you could ask for.
Man.
All right.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. ND plus 9.5. Hammer it. And go Rams.
All right. Go Rams.
Redcross.com/NFL. Donate.
No, or like we'll do like the thing where like that's what we should have done. We should have done like a fake charity where we get the money and then like it all go, like we done some grifting. But now we have morals unlike some other people, which is just crazy. But all right. Good talk.
Peace.